but they've added some players like Brandon Jacobs and Mario Manningham that are going to try to open up the offense. And so Smith is under a lot of pressure to deliver a little bit more because they fell just short of the Super Bowl last year. But absolutely, the Jets is a soap opera probably to keep an eye on.
And coming off a horrific pre-season as well. Is there a rookie quarterback who has actually been playing, he's 28 years old and been playing basketball?
Brandon Weeden from the Browns actually played baseball, and that's part of an NCAA rule that allows you to go pro in one sport but still retain your eligibility in another sport. A lot of guys have actually done that. Danny Ainge, former Boston Celtic, did that. But Weeden went and played pro baseball, came back to Oklahoma State and played a couple of years, graduated or left. He's 28, so not your traditional rookie, that's for sure.
Okay, let's get down to the business. And Ed, I want your best three of the weekend.
Best three in terms of
betting, mate, punting. Please, what do you think about the food?
Well, no, I don't have the lines in front of me. I've got the schedule, but I'm not quite sure on the lines. Let me just give you some of the things that I think might be interesting to look at. I think Tampa Bay and Carolina is an interesting game to look at. What's the line on that one?
Tampa Bay and Carolina, which is one of the later games, and I think the Panthers are absolutely unbeatable here. They're $1.76 at Centre Bendel.
So Carolina are $1.72. As you mentioned, Ed, there's a few rookies playing, and I think the quarterback for last year's number one draft choice is for Carolina. They're $1.72. Tampa Bay $2.16. The over and under line is 47 points.
And the line?
Yeah, I think that. Look, I think Doc's right on that one. I mean, Carolina's a decent. These are both pretty decent teams, but I think Carolina's going to be much better. Cam Newton, the draft pick from last year, has had a really great rookie season last year. That's one to look at. Pittsburgh-Denver, I think, is a fascinating game. I think that's the Sunday late game. With Manning, I mean, I think if you believe in Denver and you believe in Manning and you think that Pittsburgh's going to have a down year like a lot of people think about, then you've got to back the Broncos big time. But conversely, if you're someone that thinks Manning hasn't played in a year, how's he going to fit in? Denver's still got those defensive questions, then that could be one to look at from a Steelers standpoint. That's one. Go ahead.
Sorry, Ed. What's the news coming out on Peyton there in terms of his injury? He hasn't played for a year. I mean, I haven't heard that much about it. Is he fully fit? Are they confident? Are they happy? I mean, the market is Denver are favourites. Denver $1.78, Pittsburgh $2.02. The line is 1.5, and the overs and unders are 45.5. But are we expecting Peyton in full flight?
With all accounts, all the news out of Denver is absolutely that he's doing that he's ready to go. He looks great. He looks sharp. He feels good. The receivers are catching the football. But you know what it's like. The Western Bulldogs are saying the same things at the start of this season. Everyone's fit and firing or ready to make the 8. So,
some of us are dog supporters.
Yeah, well, you know what I'm saying. I hate to pick on them, but everyone's positive before the season starts. So I think Denver. Look, I don't know. I'm a Broncos fan, guys, and I'm not quite sure what to expect. I mean, I would think he'd be fine, but it's a new team, it's a new system, and he hasn't played in a year. So it'll just be really interesting against a pretty rough Steelers defense. So, if he gets a couple of early hits, how's he going to respond? So I would be really wary of Denver coming out and, just lighting it against the Steelers. I actually think the under might be a play in this one, and I think that, if I were a Steelers fan, I'd be leaning towards them, I'll be honest with you.
What about one of the marquee games here for the weekend, Ed, is going to be San Francisco taking on Green Bay. We've got San Francisco $2.90, Green Bay $1.43. The line is a flat 5, and the overs and unders are 46.5. I mean, this is obviously two teams that will be looking to be very involved at the pointy end of the season. How do you see this one unfolding?
I think you're right. I mean, if this were a later season game, I'd say absolutely look low scoring and look at San Francisco. But out of the chute, playing at home, I think Green Bay will be revved up and ready to go. And they probably will end up covering that. But San Francisco is a very good defense. And if there's any team that can kind of slow Aaron Rodgers down, it might be the 49ers. So I think it's going to be a great game. Make no mistake about it. But I do think I favor Green Bay in this one early. And the weather will be pretty good, I would assume. It won't be that frozen tundra that we see later in the year. So I think Green Bay might be okay in this one.
Ed, we appreciate you joining us tonight on the phone from the UK. Enjoy Abbey Road. We look forward to having you in the studio here in Betstar and Stripes in the next couple of weeks.
Yep, no worries, guys. Sorry about that bad line earlier, but thanks for having me on.
Thanks, Ed.
Ed White over in the UK. We're going to get to a break. Don't forget, betstar.com.au to celebrate the start of the year. $2 lines on all NFL games until kickoff. There's 13 games tomorrow. Betstar.com.au. A quick break. Many more. You throw me, Turfy. Plenty more Betstar and Stripes.
This is Bet Stars and Stripes with Dr. Turf and Alice Gander.
It only takes 3 minutes to sign up with Betstar, and you can verify your identity online in most cases. Your scanners Betstar are proudly Australian-owned, fast and friendly service online or over the phone. Join Betstar for great odds and awesome products. Betstar.com.au. Alan Iskander from Betstar is here. What was that, Turfy?
I said, just say Ellen sent you.
All right. Well, Dr. Turf's also here. He's having a good night, Turfy. 942 911 16 if you want to have a chat to him. Just off the text, we spoke earlier about the Super Bowl entertainment and the AFL trying to maybe go a little towards that. Got the halftime and the post-game show this year, and Alan.
Is that officially?
It's officially happening.
Post-game?
Yeah.
Having a concert. Okay. With
I think it's a great idea. I think the entertainment should be an integral part of it, and I like the fact that the AFL are putting their hands in their pocket. I know it didn't work last year, we get it, but I like the fact they're putting their hands...
It was a poor choice.
It was a poor choice. But remember when they had Lionel Richie, was it the year before or something like that? He was fantastic. Put your hand in your pocket and get good performers out here.
They took a risk, and it failed.
I didn't like him.
You didn't like Lionel Richie?
No.
Why?
I just don't like that music.
Wow.
Well, this year, it's Temper Trap, You Am I, and
Indie Rock.
Paul Kelly. So they tried to go three generations.
I heard Kevin Bartlett and Patrick Smith talking about indie rock the other morning.
Off the SMS, my two favourite things, betting and NFL. Stoke, this show is on, says Jamie in the Docklands.
Who's he tipping?
He's, I don't know, 0433 98 11 16. Jamie, what are you thinking? Would definitely go to a game if it was in Melbourne. I agree with Turfy.
You know what, it would be, even at the G, they'd get 80,000, 90,000, I reckon.
A good point.
I just think the attraction was so unique that they would fill the joint.
The issue would be, as a few people have pointed out, just the fact you're sitting a long way from the field. I reckon the best stadium in Melbourne would be Amy Park to have it, although only 30,000 would be too small.
It just doesn't become commercially viable.
I agree.
So there's no doubt in terms of a spectator it is, but it's not commercially viable. Having said that, as Doc said at the top of the show, when they had soccer out there, it's not ideal, I get that, but I'd still like to go to the MCG and watch it, knowing that it's not ideal, but what a unique opportunity to see it.
Night grand final would be great, says Stuart, but so is our tradition of a day grand final. How about 1 year night, the next, and so on and so on.
Make the call.
Night grand final with music and lights and fireworks, says Anonymous. Daylight takes away from the moment. Nighttime is party time. And Lou from Oak Park, already been on betstar.com.au and has said, I've backed Philadelphia in a 4-leg multi to collect 6K. The other 3 legs are home. I'm very confident on the Eagles. What do you think? Well, they're playing the Browns, so I reckon you might be all right, Lou.
Are you going to hedge? That's the question. Do you just watch them go round or do you hedge?
Betstar.com.au. We've got that wonderful special for tomorrow to celebrate the start of the year. Now, there's 13 games tomorrow, 2 on Tuesday. Betstar are giving you a $2 line on all NFL games until kickoff. Head to betstar.com.au or betstar.mobi to get on now.
Do you know, on free-to-air in America last year, of the top 20 programs for the entire year, 19 of them were Monday night football games?
So,
which is that's
astonishing. What was the other one?
I don't know.
Some election?
I've got no idea what the other one was. I can't remember. But 19 out of 20 is a fairly astonishing figure, I would have thought.
I would have thought so as well. So we've flicked through some of these games, Cam, for the first round. We'll start off with the New England Patriots. They're taking on Tennessee. New England are $1.42, Tennessee $2.95. The line there is 4.5, and the overs and unders are 47 points. Any thoughts, Doc?
Well, I think the betting's about right. He's just a philosophical thing about sports betting on American sport, particularly the NFL, Al, is that I've always got the feeling that the home team is weighted far too highly in betting markets, that they give too much credence to... too much favouritism to home teams, whereas, it's not so prevalent here, although obviously teams have home ground advantages even with the AFL. But I just think that they overdo it.
Yeah.
The fact that a team's playing away from home and they mark it harshly.
It could be because, I mean, obviously there's travelling here in Australia as well. But, I mean, obviously the travelling. The other interesting thing about US sports is the overs and unders line is very, very prominent.
Well, that's all they do, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
You
I
know,
mean, you heard Ed...
Not all they do it, but it's big there. That and the line. I mean, they're not really head-to-head punters, Americans, are they?
Yep.
They are more line backers and overs and unders, as
Yeah, well, I mean,
say.
you heard it when Ed was on the phone a moment ago. I mean, he was sitting there sharing his thoughts on the games, and his instincts were to tell us whether he liked the overs or whether he liked the unders,
Sure.
as opposed to the head-to-head market.
Yeah, no doubt. It's funny, actually, I was just saying, before the Friday night game here, the AFL game, the over and under, I think the line was about 183, let's say 185 points. I think the under, so that the total match score of Collingwood Hawthorn would be under 185 or whatever it was backed, I think, from $2 into $1.60. Because everyone was thinking, windy night, a little bit wet, scrappy game, blah, blah, blah. Well, I don't know what it was, but it was not... Collingwood got 97. What they lose by 38, so
They got it
was
wrong.
230 something or other.
They got it wrong. I'll go through some of the blockbuster games rather than going through all of them, but all of them are on our website, obviously, at betstar.com.au.
I'm going to back the Bills to beat the Jets because I reckon they might be in for a stinker, the Jets.
So the Bills are $2.26, New York are $1.66, and the overs and unders are 38.5. Washington take on New Orleans. Washington are $4.20, New Orleans $1.23. The overs and unders are 50.5. The reason I mention this is because Robert Griffin III, who is the number two, RG3, I should say, who is the number 2 draft pick, is going to first start in this. So it'll be an interesting game there.
I just want to get back to the Jets game. If you're right, Turfy, and things don't go as to expected for the New York Jets, there is no doubt $1 that one of the New York major publications, might be the Times, might be the Post, will go with Tebow in.
Tebow time.
Yes, Tebow time straight out.
But you know what? I mean, how can they rely on Tim Tebow?
Well, you know what? They can't. But he's a great story. He was an unbelievable story last year, even though they didn't dominate. And they got into the postseason, but they didn't get to the ultimate. And we know that he's been struggling a little bit when he goes to throw. But he's a great story. Americans love great stories. They love fairy tales. And it's more the fact that Tim Tebow's playing for their team rather than him being able to help them win more efficiently than Sanchez as what the fans want.
He has had an off season as well. It's been clearly publicised what his weaknesses are. If I'm Tim Tebow,
there's a lot of throwing going on.
Oh, absolutely. I don't
so.
sleep. I stay up all night. I don't eat. I don't drink. I don't do anything. I just train because I know that the marketers. Because the marketers want me.
You're a long way from Tim Tebow. I think he prays more than you, too.
He does.
I think he does, just a touch.
Betstar.com.au, all 13 matches, $2 lines on head-to-head. Betstar.com.au, make sure you check it out. The Jaguars and the Vikings going to go at it, Al. It's going to be an interesting one.
Yeah, it is going to be an interesting one. The Jaguars are the outsider there, $2.64. The Vikings, $1.50.
Not much in it.
The line is 3.5, even money lines there, and the overs and unders are 38 points.
Good each way bet, Jacksonville there, I reckon. No, seriously, I like a my staking, let's say, each way would be 70% on the line.
Yep.
And 30% head-to-head.
Yep.
This is something, if you like the outsider in games, might be something for your punters to sort of get the handle on betstar.com.au.
Yep.
Just, if you like, fancy them and they're outsiders, just because you fancy them at the line, always worth having something on them at the odds against.
There's nothing more sickening when they get up and you've only backed them the plus.
Yeah, like Freo yesterday.
Hey, Turfy,
For me.
serious question.
Yep.
10 years ago, was American sports betting something you dabbled in, or was it the fact that US sports are a lot more popular here in Australia on the back of 1HD and some more people having
That's
Foxtel?
I've always bet on golf. I love not to win, but head-to-head stuff and group betting and all that sort of stuff. But no, I think it's really been the last 3 or 4 years I've always liked the NFL, but never really bet on it that much.
Just on that, Al, I guess 1HD probably 4 or 5 years ago really started pushing the NFL. You see Twitter and Facebook and social media. You see a lot more American sports stars. You learn a little bit more about them, or you feel more connected. Have you noticed that's when the betting has become more and more proficient, I guess, when it comes to the US?
Yeah, there's no doubt, Cam. I mean, it's been the last 2 or 3 years, and it's all related to broadcast.
It is. What did we get last year? 5 games a weekend, including the Monday Night Football?
Yep.
Ed White, I was talking to Ed the other day, and he was saying that unless you got the NFL Pass, which is like the AFL app here, we sometimes in Australia get more games live than they get